Welcome to Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta. It's Superbikes at Road Atlanta, officially kicking off the 10th anniversary of the MotoAmerica Championship. We are now getting ready for the BellissiMoto Twins Cup, and it is not their kickoff to this race season. This is race number 3 for them for 2024, but this is race number 1 here at Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta. I'd like to welcome you into the broadcast booth. I'm Jamie Howe, joined by Roger Hayden. And Roger, over the last 2 days, and we have seen these riders continue to make improvements, and we've seen the field shuffle just a little bit.
Yeah, we have the Suzuki's coming in with the new GS8R. At Daytona, they didn't have a lot of track time, and they were a little bit off. They were still close to the podium battles, but they have a little time since Daytona, and they come here, and they're setting first and second on the grid, 2 different teams. So a little different than we've seen at Daytona, and, we're going to really get the season started today because this is a more traditional track. Everybody's had a little bit of time since Daytona.
Yes, there's been some time to do the homework and make sure that everybody's ready for the rest of the season going forward. Let's take a look at the points and the way everybody stacks up after that first race weekend. Gus Rodeo, he led everything at Daytona, and he is now our point leader.
Yeah, just led every session, qualified on pole. Now he's got a perfect 50 points. And Rocco Lander's there in second. Alessandro DeMario, Rossi Moore, Ben Glotty rounding out the top 5. Those guys are starting to fall back a little bit already, so they need to have a good weekend.
You see some familiar names that have been coming up through the MotoAmerica ranks, Rocco Landers being one of them. He is our pole sitter today. Let's send it down to the third member of our team, Lorette Nicole, who is down on the grid.
Well, Rocco Landers, it was either earlier today or yesterday, said that he was really looking forward to the Twins Cup race. That's what you've been focusing on here. You have been making incredible improvements. What is it about this race that means so much?
I mean, I love the Twins Cup, obviously, but this is the first race of the season we've really had a decent shot at a win. The team's got the Suzuki GSX-8R working amazing. We've been making constant improvements, changes every session. We're so far from where we started, and we're going to keep progressing.
I love that. I love that ideal. And going straight down, sitting here in pole position, how do you protect that lead?
Forward. You just got to go forward. That's it.
Appreciate you, Rocco. Thank you very much. So right behind him on the grid is number 96 of Gus Rodeo. And so Gus Rodeo is on the second line. And Gus, as you're sitting here and you're just watching straight down the straightaway, what are your moves?
I mean, I don't want anybody out here to hear my moves, so I'm going to keep that to myself. But we got a plan set, and I'm going to try and stick to it, and worst comes to worst, we don't. So, I mean, we're just out here to have fun, and as long as I'm having fun, I know I'm going to be at the front. So that's pretty much it. Just put our head down and get after it and see what we can do.
And when you have one plan, do you also have a couple of backups just in case?
No, I mean, my plan kind of changes throughout the lap, honestly. I just kind of go with the flow and just see what happens, really.
Okay. Gus, appreciate your time. Thank you very much. And moving to the third line, of course, is Avery Dreyer. And we saw Avery doing battle. Avery, we just wanted to check in. Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm all good. Just a stupid mistake on my end, but looking forward to this race, and we'll see what happens.
Okay. What are your expectations on the third row from here?
We've been struggling a bit with the motorcycle this weekend, just some mechanical problems, so I think the goal is always to win, but a podium is my goal right now, and we're going to see what we can do.
Avery, best of luck. Thank you very much.
You see Avery Dreyer there taking a breath. I like what he said, Roger, that it was just a stupid mistake on his part. He's, of course, talking about the race that happened right before this one. He was going to the white flag as the race leader with a sizable margin, and then he tipped it over.
Yeah, and it's just really great to hear a young rider take, ownership for their mistake. And he was just out there trying to build a gap, doing what he was supposed to do to try to win that race. And, he made a mistake. Even though Avery is the champ last year, we still forget how young he is. And it's going to be a learning lesson. And some lessons you learn are the toughest ones to take. It costs you a win. But for him, I bet he doesn't make that mistake again.
Just 17 years old. And now having to refocus himself and put a helmet on and go out there and do battle again. Let's go back down to the grid. Lots of riders still sitting there. Lorette?
Dominic Doyle looking very calm and relaxed and just staring down this long straightaway. So, Dominic, how do you protect this front line?
I'm honestly really happy that we got on the front row there in Q2 because we were going to have to start on the second row. I think just get a real good launch and try and not cover the inside because there's that big bump in the inside, but just hit my brake marks like I usually do and just ride my own race. Let everything play out those first couple minutes and first couple laps and see how it goes. I'm looking forward to a strong race, though.
Dominic, thank you very much. And our rider 112 down here is Jack Roach, and he's right behind Dominic Doyle and he is looking like he is getting in that warrior mindset that we talked about earlier, and he's standing next to Crystal, who is Dave Anthony's wife. And Jack, just wanted to get a minute with you as you are going this. What are your expectations?
Well, I'd love a whole shot. No, honestly, we've done so many starts on this bike for testing, and I feel confident. This track is all about the start because it's single file going through the chicanes.
Okay, there's a lot of action going on, so we are going to get out of the way. Jamie and Roger, take it away.
I love how calm he is out there. He's able to take a moment and still have a sense of humor. There's no stress on him at this moment for Jack Roach. He's going to start on that second row, Roger.
Yeah, and we've seen Jack, a couple years ago in the Junior Cup class there for a couple years and went over to Europe and did a couple races. So it's great to see him back over here. And not only back, but also, being there on the second row with his first, Twins Cup race on this bike. So he's got to be pretty happy with that, and we'll see if he can hold on to it when the race starts. That's when the real test comes.
One of the things that Dominic Doyle said was that he was pretty happy to be able to move up in that second session of qualifying. Otherwise, he was going to be starting on the second row, so he was certainly happy. How about bike number 484? This is Sean Ugunarski. He's in a good starting spot right in the middle.
Really good spot right there on the third row in the middle. Should have a perfect shot headed into turn one, and for him this is his best qualifying spot, so it's a great opportunity for him to get a good start and watch what those guys in those first couple rows do and see if he can pick up a thing or two.
One of the things that I noticed in looking at the timesheets and how we've created this grid, combining the times from Q1 and Q2 that happened this morning, is Rocco Landers was able to make a big improvement. He gained over half a second. But Rossi Moore, who is starting second alongside him on that front row, he did not improve, or he did improve on his time also. So there are a lot of times that gain some momentum, but Rossi is not out there, and he brought out the red flag in the qualifying session this morning. So Roger, there's now a hole on the grid.
Yeah, and just for the riders behind him like Gus, that opens up that door for him to be able to, if he gets a really good start. So hate to see Rossi not out there, but that spot's going to be open.
We have about 45 seconds before these riders are going to be able to go. That may be Rossi Moore at the tail end of the field, Roger.
I think so.
30 seconds remaining. You can hear the horn down in the background there as we watch the riders getting set to go out for this sighting lap. 15 seconds remaining, and it seems like an eternity, Roger.
It does, especially when you're all amped up trying to get the start going. You've already did practice. You've already qualified. You've been thinking about this start all morning, and get this warm-up lap here. Make sure you get the tires really warm and get ready for that first lap.
BellissiMoto Twins Cup is brought to you by BellissiMoto, where the biggest names in custom bike building shop for parts. And by Dunlop, the official tire of the MotoAmerica Championship Series.
The riders now coming around on this sighting lap. Roger, you've got several laps under your belt here at Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta. Tell me about it.
Yeah, such a fun track. It's one of everybody's favorites. Just so much elevation through here, starting from turn one. These Twin Cup bikes are so fast with the corner speed to 2, 3, 4 as the track goes down into turn 5, 6, and 7. Really important to get that good run. You can see how long that back straightaway is. turn 8 and 9 is not really a turn. They're wide open through there. Down into turn 10, 11, and back down to that last corner into turn 12. Really hard braking downhill, tricky corner.
That's where we saw that incident for Avery Dreyer during the Junior Cup race that happened just before this. So let's take a look at how everyone's going to grid when we get there. Row number 1, it was Rocco Landers. Alongside him was meant to be Rossi Moore on that number 92. That spot was empty. Dominic Doyle finishing out the front row with Gus Rodeo, Alessandro DeMario, and Jack Roach on the second row. Avery Dreyer, Sean right next to him. Romeo Chiavini rounding out row number 3. Ray Hoffman and Joseph Bittner rounding out that last row. So a lot of riders. This is a full field, Roger. It's going to be a lot of action out here.
A lot of action. You also see Sonia Lloyd there. First race was at Daytona, coming from the BRT, so it's great to see her here again this weekend.
And with that, everybody is now finding their positions. See the official there at the front of the field. Rossi Moore is not in his grid position, so there will be the opening. You look to your screen now. You're going to know when it's go time. The lights are going to go on. As soon as the lights go off, it's time to go racing. And race number 1 underway, but there could have been a jump start back there. The rest of the field holding up at the back of the pack, Roger.
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened. Something there with the glitch on the start. Some guys went super early, and you can see guys at the back of the grid didn't even go. The red flag's going to come out. There was an issue there at the start. It was just, I've never really seen that before, where some riders go and then at the back of the grid, but it can happen. The light, if that's what happened, the light can have a glitch.
So the light did flash is what we are being told now. And Roger, put your helmet back on. You're psyched up. You are ready. We talked about the moments right beforehand and now have to go through it again. How do you do that?
Well, you get your heart rate up. You have that anxiety before the start, and then it kind of goes away, and then you got to come back and bring that focus back in that you had. And you know, if you felt like you got a really good jump, even with the light, you know, you try to do the same thing again. If you feel like you got a bad jump, then you try to do something different.
All right, let's take a look at this replay and what unfolded once the riders come around. Let's look at what we saw the first time. The lights on, and you saw the flash.
It came off and then back on. You know, when the light goes out in MotoAmerica, the red light, that's when the race starts. So when it went off and then back on, some people already went because their reaction time was so quick. They already seen it go off, so they had to stop it, and they'll get that fixed. But luckily, it could be a dangerous situation. You know, some people go and other people don't.
Yep. So now everybody will have to come back around and find those original grid positions. Anything that was gained on that first corner does not count. So everyone goes back to the pit. Teams are going to come back around. In terms of wear and tear, Roger, on these motorcycles, it's a standing start, and with the clutch and having to do this again, what dangers are there?
You can, because, you know, you just hope that you're not one of those guys that's really heavy on the clutch on the starts, and they can get hot, and these guys will come in. The tires will, even though there's not a lot of laps, it's still a little bit of a heat cycle on the tires for them, so they might feel a little bit different. But the big thing is just trying to come in and just try to reset, refocus, put this behind you, and get back going.
All of the riders have now made their way back to pit lane, and as you see the MotoAmerica officials addressing the starting light out there on the grid, we now know that it will be 5 minutes that riders will have to wait in order to get back out there before pit lane opens. And the race originally was meant to be 13 laps. Because of this time and this delay, the race has now been shortened to 8 laps, Roger, and that changes things.
That changes a lot. You know, tire wear is going to be a lot different. The race is going to, if you're one of those guys that was planning on being patient early on in that race, you're not going to have as much time now to come to the front toward the end. And during these red flags, even though we haven't had any laps, that the teams can work on their bikes if they want to. You know, if it's something felt funny on that start or the warm-up lap, you can have this opportunity. You can't change tires, though. but you can work on the bike. So some people might have caught a break with this.
Rocco Landers was the rider that you just saw in the shot with his Vance and Hines teammate there, helping him get his visor cleaned on his helmet. And a lot of times riders will use the tear-offs that keep that shield clean, but they're taking some extra time to clean that. How important is it?
It's really important, especially, here at Atlanta, where the bugs can be pretty big, and you get a couple right there, right in your face. It can be distracting, and for Rocco's getting it all cleaned up. Some guys are really particular with what their shield looks like.
I mentioned this is the third race of this championship season for the BellissiMoto's Twin Cup. Let's go back to Daytona, Roger, and take a look at race number 2.
Yeah, race number 2 at Daytona. Another really good start here. You'll see by Gus Rodeo there on pole position. Avery Dreher's going to have a little bit of a mistake, contact with another rider, just a racing incident. Luckily, he was up and okay, and from there, the race was on early on. Gus Rodeo, you can see he's really aggressive with Dominic Doyle early on in the race. Felt like he had the speed to try to break the draft like he did the day before, but Dominic Doyle was fighting. See Rocco Landers make a mistake as well. He struggled a little bit that weekend, and from here you can just see Gus slowly chipping away and pulling away. You see Dominic Doyle right there trying his hardest to keep Gus in his sights, and this battle for the last podium spot, there was a lot of guys there fighting for it, and you see Dominic Doyle having an issue there. And from here, it was the battle of the Suzukis. You see Rocco Landers there, and at this point, Gus pulled out almost over a 11-second lead, and you don't really see that a lot at Daytona with the drafting, and see Rocco here making a move for his position. Alessandro DeMario almost was able to get back in that draft. He wasn't able to get close enough, but you can see how excited Gus is. There's no feeling like winning at Daytona.
And his friends were all there to celebrate with him, including on that 97, Rocco Landers. He's now downstairs with Lorette.
Well, Rocco said that he saw the light flash, and now the race is a few laps shorter. Is that going to benefit you or harm you?
I mean, I don't see how it would turn the tables neither way. Bike's feeling really good. That first little corner we had where we were kind of pushing felt really nice, but we'll just see how the rest of the race goes. It should go pretty good.
Okay. Now, does your heart rate have to come down and back up for this restart?
No, I wouldn't say so.
No. Okay. Calm and cool. I love it, guys. Jamie?
I've never known Rocco to have one that has much fluctuation in his heart rate, but he's always like that. He's always calm, he's always cool, and just focused, Roger.
Always focused and always seems like having fun, and I think for him that's why he doesn't get you don't really see him get the nerves or the jitters like a lot of the other riders do.
You see Gus Rodeo off his bike right now waiting. I think we have just a little bit of time left before pit lane is going to open. It is 1 minute remaining, so we'll start to see those tire warmers coming off and riders getting back on to go back out and take another look at the racetrack. I want to go back to one of the things I remembered from Daytona when we were looking at those highlights and the issue that Dominic Doyle had. He didn't score any points, and so when you look at the full season point standings after that first race weekend, it takes him out of the equation, but he did finish on the podium. He finished second in the first race of the weekend, and he was able to come back from that and get back onto the podium in the Super Hooligans race at Daytona. So he is strong, he is fit. It just has some ground to make up in this championship.
And just has to be consistent for a while and make up those points. He really can't afford to give up a whole race again and get no points. So just be consistent, not making mistakes, but he can fight his way back in. There's definitely, he wins some races, which he's very capable of doing. He'll find himself back in this championship in no time. And it's also going to be interesting to see in this race. We've talked about Gus Rodeo a lot, and yesterday he mentioned he was having some front brake fade. Mm-hmm. And this shorter race, if he still has that problem today, that could play into his favor, because the longer the race, the hotter the brake pads will get and the oil and all the fluid. So if he still is having that problem, I'm not sure if he is, it could help him.
You see the riders coming down the hill only to, in the front of your shot, go back up the hill. The elevation changes here at Michelin Raceway, Roger, they're pretty dramatic.
They're really dramatic, and it starts right away, right in turn 1. You go up, and then from there it's almost straight back down all the way to turn 5, and then back over turn 5, and it makes the track really tricky because you have to find your reference points when tracks have elevation because there's so much of it that is blind.
We're going to take a look at the starting grid. Again, just as a reminder, because everyone will go back to their original grid positions. Rocco Landers, Rossi Moore, we know will not be out there. Dominic Doyle, Gus Rodeo, who is our points leader, is on row 2. Alessandro DeMario, Jack Roach. You see Avery Dreyer making that move up and hoping to put his head down. Sean Unvarsky right alongside him on row number 3. You look back a little bit, row number 5, you got Chris Parrish back there, Jeffrey Perk on row number 6. So some riders who are looking to move ahead and really make something out of these opportunities, Roger.
Yeah, and you just can go down the list and you can just see Trevor Standish. Great to see him qualifying 19th, have him back here this weekend as well.
24 grid positions being filled right now. As you see our pole sitter, Rocco Landers, coming back around to find his spot. We've mentioned it's been pretty consistent weather. The temperature has gone up a little bit. If you look at the top of the screen, the clouds are starting to move out of the area. 76 degrees right now, and the humidity has also gone down, but what has picked up is the wind. We're now up to 8 miles an hour.
And if the wind is behind these guys on the back straightaway going into turn 10, it will push them in. So it's something, it's a lot more wind than there was this morning in their second qualifier, so they're going to have to adjust to that.
See the light board overhead. That is where the officials were spending their attention during that 5-minute reset period that we took. We have now been told that teams have been told to clear the grid. It is up to the riders and it's up to the starter. And this is the warm-up lap, so riders are going to go back around the racetrack. And all of these laps, Roger, they do put some wear on things, but riders are getting another chance to just look at the course.
And it gives them the opportunity to see what their view is going to be off the start into turn 1, because the only way to get that is do that start. And now they're going to have a couple opportunities, so you know where to brake at it. You know, if you're going to be on the inside into turn 1 and where a bump is, because where you start, you might not be able to go through turn 1 on your normal racing line. You could be pinched down on the inside, so it gives all these guys and ladies a chance to look at this track from a standstill and almost like a warm-up lap. And it's important to get your tires, even though it's nice and warm out there. It's important to go pretty good on this warm-up lap to just go ahead and start getting a feel for the bike and the track and get the tires warmed up.
And get back into the rhythm that you lost after the red flag came out and just really get yourself up to speed. What are riders thinking mentally at this point?
Just the first corner, because then your strategy is going to change from there depending on how you start. So you're just going to focus on the light and try to get a good start, and from there you're going to hope you get a good start. But if not, if you got a bad start, you have to change your plan and go from there.
See that Hannah Lopa sticker on the headset? You have one of those?
I don't have any.
She hands them out sometimes. Riders now making their way to their grid positions. We're going to get going as quickly as we can. Again, this race has been shortened from 13 laps down to 8 laps. So a little bit of a different dynamic. No longer can wait. Just let it pan itself out and be there at the end. The end is coming a lot sooner. Watching as everyone's hit their marks, everyone's come back around. So red flag is still up in front of the field. See him running off now, and it's going to be in the hands of the starter. The lights will come up on the left-hand side of your screen. As soon as they come on, they're going to go off. It is time for race 1 to restart here at Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta, and our pole sitter Rocco Landers was out early.
Yeah, great start for Rocco, and he talked about that, wanting to get a good start. Gus Rodeo also getting a really good start there on the second row. And these guys, it's really tricky coming through this little chicane on the first lap at the start of the race, because when you're behind, you can't see where the curbs are.
And Dominic Doyle still finds himself in that third position, but Gus Rodeo was able to move from fourth all the way up to second, and he said that he was going to keep some of his secrets close to him, and this might have been one of them.
Yeah, and right now you can see Rocco already looking back with his head down to see if he can't go ahead and pull away and break the draft. If these guys can stay this close, Twins Cup, the draft can come into play.
If you're ahead of the field, though, and you don't have to worry about the draft, and you just got clean sailing in front of you with only 8 laps, you can push the tires. You can push it.
And you have to go now. You can see all these guys are knowing that the race is a little bit shorter, pushing a little bit harder, but you can see what the draft is doing. Gus is already starting to pull Rocco back in a little bit. Dominic Doyle right there as well. When they get on the brakes into turn 10, they're going to be a lot closer.
Alessandro DiMario is on the screen in fourth. Right now, Jack Roach right behind him, and they're in their own little battle, hoping to get closer. As you see that gap starting to space out just a little bit between those front 3.
And these two can't get in a battle and slow themselves up and let that top 3 get away. Great drive out of the last corner by Gus Rodeo, able to make the pass.
You see Rocco Landers now finds himself in third as Dominic Doyle was able to get by. Does Rocco have an issue, or was he not just pushing hard enough?
I think maybe he missed a gear or something. You know, you don't see a lot of people, a guy lose 2 spots on the front straight. So I don't know if something happened or what, but something didn't look normal. But you can see Rocco now already trying to go back to work, trying to get those spots back.
You did see him shake his head as Dominic Doyle went by him, but now he has some ground to make up and hoping to get back in front of these two. You still have Alessandro DiMario and Jack Roach. Jack Roach has been able to move up into 4th place, so that battle has changed as well.
Yeah, and coming through that first sector, Gus Rodeo with the red first sector, meaning the fastest of anyone. That's from the start-finish line all the way to turn 5, and you can see what that has done to the field. It's kind of gave him a couple bike lengths gap.
But the gap from these top 5 back to 6th position right now, this front group is just leading the way.
Yep, and Alessandro DiMario is making the move on Rocco right now.
Rocco said his plan was just to go out and have fun, and he didn't feel any pressure. He wasn't putting any stress on himself as he looked on the inside of Dominic Doyle. Didn't make it happen.
It's going to cost him a spot, too, maybe, to Alessandro DiMario. He wasn't close enough. But right now, you can just see these guys, the race being shorter, how aggressive they are, starting to be a little impatient early on.
As Gus Rodeo leads the way, reminiscent of Daytona, he's had to work to get himself up here, but leading this pack and making quick work of it.
Quick work. And something with Rocco's going on out of that last corner. He's right on those guys, and it seems like he's losing a lot of time on that front straight. Not exactly what it is, but you see coming through this part of the track, Jack Roach, he's working hard trying to close this gap back down as well.
And Dominic Doyle's right there. You see the body language of Rocco Landers when he goes across the front straightaway. He is frustrated with whatever it is that is unfolding.
And the rest of the track through the real tight parts, it doesn't look like he has a problem. He's able to close it up through the chicane in the first part of the track that's really tight.
And Dominic Doyle in 2nd place right now, being able to hold off Rocco Landers. He was able to find a 2nd in track time this morning in that 2nd session of qualifying. So the changes that they made overnight and the work that the team has put in, it's really turned into giving Dominic an opportunity to go out there and fight for a win.
And we talked about before the race, getting back into the championship battle. This is what Dominic needs to do, be out here, be consistent, and get some good results. As we see Rocco looking on the inside, but Dominic Doyle now is going to have his turn at the front.
And Alessandro DiMario is staying right there with them. He's following these guys around, and he's certainly learning each and every time by. Let's watch as they come through turn 12 and see if Rocco, you see how close he is. See if he's able.
Still looks like he's shaking his head a little bit.
Still shaking his head, but you look at bike number 25 as Dominic Doyle is now leading this pack into turn 1.
Yeah, and Rocco definitely, I don't know if it's his drive out of the last corner or what, but losing quite a bit of time on the front straight. And now we're going to see Dominic. He's going to have his turn now at the front. This is going to be his first time leading through the first part of this track. This is where the part of the track where the riders try to make the break and break that draft by the time they get to turn 7.
Dominic was able to sit behind Gus Rodeo and Rocco Landers on those opening 3 laps and see what they were doing and where. Was it enough, you think, that he can now lead and he knows where he's stronger?
I think he knows where he's stronger. He's been behind both of those guys, and for Dom, I think this is going to be a position that he's not used to. So for him out here leading and kind of setting the pace, and he's being really consistent and he looks really comfortable in the front.
Yeah, he's able to extend that gap. We haven't seen a gap quite that big over the opening 3 laps, but we still have 5 laps to go, and we've seen how many lead changes we've had in the opening 3, so it's still anybody's game as we have 4 riders that are all right there ready to capitalize at any point in time. As Rocco's now looking to the inside of Gus Rodeo, and he makes the move. He's moving himself up into second, and now it's Dominic Doyle right in front of him.
Yeah, Rocco, he's going to try to make the pass really quick if possible down here. It'll be hard to make the pass here in the 12. We'll be able to see if Gus is able to make that pass again going into turn 1 like he did a couple laps ago.
Saw Gus look over his shoulder and how close Alessandro Di Mario is, only 0.2 of a second behind him when they crossed at the stripe, but 4 laps remaining, and Dominic Doyle just continues to find a little bit of extra pace.
And Rocco just did the fastest lap of the race, which was only a 10th quicker than Dom, and just Rocco bike, just the Suzuki really handles well through this part of the track. You can see Rocco looking around, trying to make passes through here.
This is certainly where he is stronger, and you can tell right now he's going underneath Dominic Doyle. He gets the pass completed, and now Rocco Landers finds himself back into the lead, but Dominic Doyle is right there.
It was really impressive how Rocco was able to make that pass, but also get a good job out of turn 5 here. Through 6 and into 7, and this is kind of where Rocco has been struggling a little bit, is getting these runs out of the corner, and he's got a little bit of a gap, and we'll see the top speed.
They go down this long back straightaway, and for Rocco, he sat behind Dominic Doyle and Gus Rodeo also, so he was able to see where they were struggling, where he was a bit better, but he also knows what he's been dealing with as Dominic Doyle now coming on the inside of Rocco.
Rocco's going to shut the door on him. I think Rocco knows his best chances to try to make the breaks. We see Dom getting a really good run through there. Over the hill, that's a tough pass to make.
And this is the part where Rocco has been shaking his head each and every lap. He now finds himself back in second place with only 3 laps remaining once they cross at the stripe. And Dominic Doyle is going to lead this field up into turn 1.
And Dominic wants to be the guy to lead this. He wants to set the pace. He's being really aggressive with Rocco, and I think that's what he wants to do. He wants to lead. He wants to force Rocco to not be able to make that break through this first part of the track.
You have 4 riders that are so comfortable racing together. They have a lot of experience, and they're 4 riders who don't make a whole lot of mistakes. You have Dominic Doyle, Rocco Landers in second, Gus Rodeo sitting in third, and Alessandro Di Mario in fourth. Roger, how easy is it to force one of your competitors into making one of those mistakes?
That's what you're trying to do when you're the guy leading like Dominic, and every time you come around you see +0 and you're pushing harder, you're trying to make you want to break the group. It's easy to make a mistake, but these guys have quite a bit of experience. This is a great opportunity for Alessandro Di Mario to be in this battle with these 3 guys in front of him.
Gus Rodeo, you saw look over his shoulder. He continues to do that. When you don't have a whole lot of racing left and you want to understand what the gap is, how significant is it when it's as close?
And you see Rocco able here. I think Rocco's been super strong on the brakes, but so is Gus Rodeo. Dominic's going to go from first to third. It can change that quick here in Twins Cup.
So we're going to come around. Rocco Landers getting himself back out in front. They're going to come down the hill, go through turn 12. This is again where Rocco has struggled, but he is now leading. You see on the the board right there is crew telling him you are P1, but it is +0. So you've got to push for these final 2 laps.
And you talked about why some of the riders look back. They want to see how big the group is, as we see Dominic Doyle losing another spot into turn 1.
Yeah, Jack Roach was part of this top 5 group that we saw pull away from the rest of the field early on, but he is now further back as well. He is 5.5 seconds behind these top 4. So this group of 4, this is the fight for the podium. They all 4 have been in contention for it at one point in time or another. Dominic Doyle is now standing off of it, even though he led several laps.
And you can see Rocco, he's going to go through that first sector. It's going to go red. He knows there's 2 laps left, and he wants to put his head down. He knows his best chance is try to make the gap. The last lap was Rocco's fastest lap, and that was the fastest lap of the race. And you can see now he knows his best chances of trying to make a break.
whatever issue he was struggling with. He has seemed to have figured out either how to fix it or how to race through it and able to lower the time and pull away from the field just a little bit. But we're about to come to the white flag on this once they complete this lap, Roger, and we see how fast it can change.
And we'll see. Rocco's really strong on the brakes down into turn 10, and it's going to be hard to outbrake him. These guys are going to have to stay closer than they did the previous lap. They wasn't close enough to make that draft, so they know they're not going to, they can't let him pull away through those first 2 sectors like he did the previous lap.
All right, he's coming to the white flag as they cross at the start-finish line. We have 1 lap remaining. There are 4 riders that are right there to take the top 3 steps of the podium. Rocco Landers is leading. You see on the left-hand side of your screen, that is Rocco Landers' pit. As his crew is watching right now, he's been able to drive through the top 3. Terry Vance is in the picture. You see him in the black sunglasses, and everyone watching to see what Rocco is able to do. If he can hold off the rest of the field, you see the gap that he's now built, Roger.
Yeah, he's did this every lap, just so fast all the way through here. A little wide there in 5. But these guys are going to have to get a little bit closer. It looks like if he can stay this far ahead, I think he'll break the draft. And Alessandro DeMario actually last lap was the fastest lap of the race.
And with the speed that DeMario has, you think he will be able to get around Gus Rodeo. Gus has been second for a lot of this race, but DeMario's right there.
He's right there, and he's going to be in the draft, and we'll see if these 2 guys can really tuck in. They're going to try to get as tight as possible, the best run they can out of turn 7. But it looks like Rocco has made the break, and see Alessandro DeMario able to make that drafting pass.
They're right alongside each other right now as they look. And Gus Rodeo able to hold him off. Dominic Doyle also looking to the inside. He has closed up that position from 4th place, now looking to see if he can find a spot on the podium as they come down the hill. Rocco Landers, you see, he made work of it, and he's pretty comfortable right now as he comes through turn 12. Rocco Landers will take the checkered flag, and he will win this first race. And it was Gus Rodeo able to cross the line in second. Alessandro DeMario rounding out our top 3 and the podium. Look at the excitement of Rocco Landers.
Yeah, great for Rocco, great for the Vance and Hines team, and also great for Suzuki, to be able to come in here and get that win on the new bike, the new Suzuki. It's cool to see the GSX-8R already winning in its 2nd race weekend.
As much success as Rocco Landers has had, he is the winningest driver in the BellissiMoto's Twin Cup class. He's a former champion, winning the championship back in 2020. It is so refreshing to see how pure this excitement really is, even though he has so much success. Still getting these wins means a lot to him.
And I think it's just a huge relief as well, because he went to Daytona and he got beat by 11 seconds, and that's hard to find. You know it's going to be hard to find 11 seconds going into the next race.
BellissiMoto Twins Cup is brought to you by BellissiMoto, where the biggest names in custom bike building shop for parts. And by Dunlop, the official tire of the MotoAmerica Championship Series.
Those are some great overhead shots here at Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta. Really gives you a perspective of just how big this racetrack is, but also the elevation, the greenery that is still around it in its pure form. Look at Rocco. He is trying to get the crowd pumped up.
Is he going to do his backflip? Usually when he wins here, he pulls off right here and does his backflip.
He is getting the crowd pumped up. He does have a bagger's race, remember, but he's pulling off, Roger. You might have called it. Here's the fans. They're ready for him. I think they know what to expect. See Alessandro DeMario coming over to congratulate him. Here he goes.
That's awesome.
It is awesome. When you're able to just take a moment, get off of the bike, go and celebrate with all of the people that support MotoAmerica and the competition. Knowing he has a race later on this afternoon, 2 more of them tomorrow, he doesn't care.
No, let's see if he can stick it. I couldn't imagine doing the backflip and especially in leathers.
He's going to take the helmet off, though. Take some of the weight away. And in race boots. He's stuck. What was the score? What would you give it?
It was the landing was a little. I'd give him an 8.
An 8? All right. You can give him an 8, but he's still going to go home with the number 1, the race win, and he's going to go back and celebrate with the fans again. Look at the kids that are there. Oh, what is he giving him? He's giving him the knee pucks.
Knee puck. Here we go. The back. This is where he lost a little bit of.
It's the hair.
The little bit of points.
Slowing him down.
Right there. The hands went down, and that just cost a couple points.
How cool of him to take those off and give them to the kids that are out there. Those are life-changing moments. That's how you not only gain fans, but you have fans for life at that point.
Looks like he might take his face shield off as well. Give him part of his helmet.
He's going to be down to nothing, but when he gets out there for the Mission King of the Baggers race later on this afternoon, how cool. He gets it.
He gets it, and that's awesome. Those kids will be Rocco Landers fans for the rest of his career.
Even if they never are able to make it out to another race, they'll always have a memento from the day that they watch Rocco Landers win the BellissiMoto's Twin Cup race and then do a backflip off of the wall and then start handing out parts of his suit to all of them, and it's memorable for everybody. He's getting his gloves back on, and he was in the stance to do another flip. I'm glad he's not going to do that. He's just going to get back on the bike and ride his way to the podium and meet up with his team.
And you know they're going to be happy with all the effort they put in.
Yes. Let's take a look at the highlights from this race, Roger.
Yeah, Rocco got a really good start there on pole position. Gus Rodeo got a great start from the second row, and early on in the race we thought Rocco was having a little bit of an issue. He kept losing a lot of spots there. Coming out of the last corner into turn 1, Gus Rodeo had his shot at the lead. Then Dominic Doyle about mid-race worked his way back toward the front, and then you can just see the orange 97 starting to work his way. This is a really good pass here into turn 5. You don't see a lot of passes into there, but from there Rocco wasn't able to hold on to it yet. Dominic Doyle was able to make the pass again. And you can see Rocco just putting himself in the right spot, studying, and this was the pass. He was able to get in there. You see Gus Rodeo made the pass as well. And from here, Rocco, this is where he was so strong through that first part. Able to pull out about a second. Great ride by Gus Rodeo, second. Alessandro DeMario for him to get on the podium, and then also for Dominic Doyle. You know, I know he wants to win and be on the podium, but we talked about getting those consistent results, and that's one of them.
But he also, Dominic Doyle, knows that he was able to stay with and in the mix of that front pack. So now some work to do overnight. They will have a second race tomorrow, but let's finish out this one and go down to the podium with Lorette Nicole.
Well, Rocco Landers just had a beautiful hair flip, putting that hat on and giving away parts of your helmet, your goggles to the kids out there. And obviously this win means so much to you. Why is that?
Dude, it was a tough one this whole off season. I've been busting my butt. The team came together super. I mean, everything came together just a little bit late. The team just busted their butts as soon as they had the chance to put this thing together. And to get a podium at Daytona was nice, but dude, to win this race for Vance and I's Motorsport, Revzilla, and Motul, and Suzuki, and everyone, dude, I'm stoked. This is my favorite track, my favorite place to be. I mean, I can't thank everyone enough. The thing was really, that was just a really good race. I had so much fun. I had to scrap with him a little bit, and I knew I had my chance. If I could lead through the first sector, I'd maybe be okay, and it ended up working out. So, dude, let's go.
Rocco, I'm so happy for you, and watching your race out there, were you watching lines and just biding your time before you made your move and pulled that gap?
No, I actually, I got to say sorry to my team if I might have given them a little heart attack there, but I actually put the thing on the pit limiter on lap 1. That was why I went back to third. But, I mean, they were riding amazing. It was very difficult to get past them. I knew my strong point was definitely on the brakes and mid-corner and in between the lefts and rights. But, dude, I mean, I'm stoked right now.
I think he's processing the win. Congratulations to Rocco Landers. And Gus Rodeo. It looks like, if I'm reading your body language and maybe your expression, what are you feeling right now?
I mean, honestly, I feel good. qualified 4th, and I was way off Rocco. So my plan that I didn't tell you was to just try and stick on the back of him, and I seemed to do that. Dom got in the mix and got by him, and then it was just Rocco in front of me. But I'm just struggling in the first sector, and I knew that was his plan. I knew he was going to try and put time on me in the first sector and then break the draft. And we got some work to do, but it looks like rain for tomorrow, so this is the first time I'm excited for that, and I'm ready to go.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, congratulations to second place Gus Rodeo. And Alessandro, what an incredible race that you just put on. You must be so proud of the effort that you just put down.
Yeah, first of all, I want to thank all my mechanics. They did an amazing job. I wouldn't be here without him, so I want to thank Mike. I want to thank Kevin. My teammate Gus did a great job today. They were all of them were really fast, so it was really hard to keep up, especially because I couldn't go out in the first practice yesterday, so I only got 2 sessions before the race. And we made some changes to the bike, and the mechanics did awesome. The bike was amazing, I want to thank Mike, Chad, Matt, everybody that kept working on my bike and all my sponsors. Thank you.
Congratulations, finishing 3rd, Alessandro DiMario.
It's a great representation of the BellissiMoto Twins Cup paddock, Roger, when you've got Rocco with all the experience, all of the excitement, taking home that win, but then you have Gus Rodeo, who's very real, he's very rational, saying that they know that they have the work to do.
And for him, it's a little disappointing. You come from Daytona and you dominate, and then you come here and you get second. But for Gus, he's in for the championship. I mean, if you get second on your bad days right now, I mean, that's what he needs to do. Just keep being on the podium each race, be consistent, and knowing that he didn't just have it to go with Rocco in that first part of the track, and that shows a mature ride. He didn't throw it down the road, trying to ride over his head to win it. He got second, and he's not happy with it, but obviously it's great for him for the championship. And when those days you don't have it, you can't throw it down the road.
And then Alessandro DiMario giving the credit to his team, saying that there was no way he would even be here without all the hard work that those guys put in overnight. He missed a lot of the track time, started the race in 5th, but able to end up on the podium. That's got to give you motivation going into race 2 tomorrow.
Just knowing that you can run with the leaders gives you just so much, confidence and momentum, and for him able to sit behind those guys for most of the race and just go to school and learn and see where they're better than me or where they're doing things different. It's going to be huge for him, and just super happy with the podium. And for him, I can't explain what it's like when you start following that next group and you get to see what they're doing different and you're able to go to school.
As you see the super sport riders now making their way out on the racetrack, doing their sighting lap. That grid will start to form. We are still several minutes away from getting ready for that race, but the riders are certainly going through the motions right now. And we've got a full slate of races still to come today. We still have 3 races remaining on the schedule, and Super Sport will be next. It'll be Super Bike that will follow them, and then we're going to round off the day with the Mission King of the Baggers to finish things off. And then we have a whole nother day of racing to follow tomorrow. So while you're getting ready, play MotoAmerica for cash. You can play both today and tomorrow during the Super Sport, the Super Bike, and the Baggers races. Go to nxbets.com/playma. You can find the latest odds posted for today's races. And then after today's races are over, there will be a whole new set of odds that will be posted for Sunday competition. Play MotoAmerica for cash by going to nxbets.com/playma. Something new for this year in a way that you can engage and follow along and find your favorites.
That's right. And just give you a little, have a little more fun with it. So it's going to be really excited for MotoAmerica to take that opportunity to throw something else to be able to be involved with the sport.
We start to get things ready for Super Sport. There is Tyler Scott, the pole sitter. We've watched all the qualifying sessions. Roger, what are you expecting to unfold?
I think for Tyler, I expect a really tight battle, because when you look at the lap times, these guys are incredibly close, the first couple group. But I think for for Tyler. He's kind of the guy that's got the target on his back this year. And, after the season he had last year, you see Jake Lewis there. Had a good qualifying, too, this morning on starting fourth. That's great for him and the Altus Suzuki team. So I'll just see how the thing is. We went to Daytona, and it wasn't all the same riders. So we're going to see what this class is going to look like this first race. That's what's exciting about it, is the unknown.
You see Jake Lewis there. He's starting this race on the second row in that fourth position on that number 85. And PJ Jacobson is on the front row. He's one of the Rahal Ducati moto riders that we talked to Ben Spies about earlier. That team has made such huge gains since Daytona.
Yeah, and they made some personnel changes since Daytona and some other stuff, and it's been a night and day difference. You can only be as good as the people around you. It doesn't matter the rider if you don't have the right crew and the right people in place to run the team, and they're getting that dialed in. So huge strides for them this weekend.
This is Corey Alexander, the number 23 bike. He's one of the other riders for the Rahal Ducati team. He is lining up in that fifth position. But just before this shot, you did see the gray and yellow leathers. That's Matthew Skoltz, who has now joined the ranks. He missed practice and he missed the first session of qualifying, but he was able to get out this morning. He will line up just outside of the top 10 with some work to do, but he's going to get plenty of time to do it over the course of this race. We are going to take a break, step away as the grid procedures continue. But don't go anywhere, because we've got racing coming up right after this.